Kman, you just know Tarzan was going to first select that Neferi like he's done so many times, but he'll go down this list and grab himself the J4 early on here.
Yeah, oh no. Yeah, like Neferi's a big pick, but he gets Jarvan, his second most played champion. He's only lost one game on it throughout this split up until this point. Incredibly good to give him priority. Is going to give Tian the chance to counter with something that's a bit more aggressive on the other side of this. Lee Sin has been top esports' most consistent pick by far across this split. When they play around that early pressure, they're able to snowball games. They let Tian play that greedy style he's used to. This team does not want to play passive. They don't want to be scared, and that's been something they've really struggled with. They're not going to lock it in, though. I really thought that was coming through. It's going to be the Rise here. We'll see if they end up answering with jungle as well.
We'll see. I kind of like the idea. I know Lee Sin is a lot of early aggression, but I still kind of just love the value on the map that Pantheon and Rise as a second rotation can be. I think they sync pretty well. I even think Nocturne and Rise maybe have a bit more synergy, but the kick into the Rune Prison is a pretty good combo to single out one target, and Tian wants to stay aggressive in the early game, as here we start to see exactly what we were talking about. Of course, Hope has played some Ashe games, Kman, but Ashe Seraphine, I think this is apt to show that AL are wanting to adapt a bit more to playing for that 2v2.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this goes because AL really struggled in a meta where things like Ashe Seraphine were really prominent, mostly because Kael just wasn't very comfortable at dominating in the 2v2, and Hope's not really the player you want to play for. Ashe Seraphine to me is a good middle ground of that, where Hope can still be this utility carry in the back end of the game. You can play more for the mid lane if you want to do that, and you still have some pressure on the bottom side, especially considering the fact that Top Esports is not going to be able to pick their bot lane here, so Lucian Milio is almost certainly going to be off the board as a counter pick. The Gnar going to be locked in for Zuian. Love giving him some priority, and you're going to be able to ban out some of the more obvious like marksman counter picks like Vayne and Varus on the top side. Both of these teams, I think, indexing towards their strengths right now.
Indexing into those strengths. Indeed. As we move into the second ban phase here now. A lot of protections over there to Zuian for his blind Gnar, which is a bit intriguing knowing the Gnar, even in some of the tougher matchups, doesn't tend to struggle too much, but never hate protecting your rookie on that early blind. And for AL, looking to just eliminate engage tools. I like this a lot because Lee Sin, Gnar, it can be a bit uncomfortable being the main engage target on champions like that. You'd like to see an engage support to just kind of kickstart the fight. So Nautilus makes a ton of sense, and the Karma will come down to try and cut down on aggressive lane pairings here for JackeyLove and Joao.
I agree with you about the engage support overall fitting the team comp a bit better, but Lucian Milio has been kind of the default answer to Ashe Seraphine, and neither of them were touched in this draft phase. That feels like a really obvious lock-in for a bot lane that I trust a lot on the other side. I think that's a mistake for AL. I think leaving that up could come back to bite them. JackeyLove's Lucian is very good, but now the question is, what is the answer on the top side for Breathe? Varus would be an option, except he doesn't really play it as a champion, so what bruiser does he feel comfortable going towards that he think can take advantage of the Gnar? That's probably the question now.
A lot of different interesting hovers. Can never go wrong with the hot pocket strategy of the Rumble and the J4s, but they're going to go with the Ambessa here. Breathe looking to carry off of his LPL awarded top lane player of the week selection alongside a lot of those LGD boys from week 4. So looking to continue that over here up against Top Esports for the final week. And we'll see exactly what they want to leave here for Shanks. Like things that maybe help with the space creation of Ashe Seraphine, but it's also never bad to put a Death Ball topside next to a Seraphine, and they'll lock in the Galio here for some extra engage alongside Tarzan. But this is low damage comp.
It's a very low damage comp, and that does scare me considering you have a Lee Sin, you have Lucian Milio on the other side, you have priority with the Rise. Like, this is a very risky draft, I think, for anyone's legend. I really like the way Top Esports is set up. I just prefer their comp a little bit more in this one. I think they're going to have more agency in the early game, and I think I trust these players on the champions that they drafted. I said this before, but you can say what you want about Tian's inconsistency. Lee Sin has been one of the few picks he's been able to find a lot of success on over the course of this split. It's been one of the strongest champions in the game. I think Top Esports are going to be able to control a lot of the mid game here with the Rise and should have a lot of control over whether or not this game goes their way.
I think early dragons could be really telling on how much of a pace we're going to have in that mid game. If we can see Tarzan maybe take away one of these two opening dragons, make sure a Soul win con isn't available for a Top Esports team that does kind of need to win the game in a bit of a quicker fashion, right? We do have a Rise for Creme, but outside of that, I do get kind of scared of a late game Ambessa and mostly this Ashe Seraphine later in the game. So we'll see, I think, how dragons can play a key factor in what you're saying, Kman, that the mid game should be all Top Esports. But we've also seen Tarzan single-handedly wreck games on his own with this J4 pickup that you mentioned. Only has one loss this split. So a lot of confident calls here from both sides going into this game 1 draft with so much on the line.
I absolutely agree. One thing I will point out for AL, this team has not been good in team fights. We can talk about their ability to, be consistent near the top of the standings. They're a great team at getting early leads, and they love snowballing games. They've thrown 10,000 gold leads. Like, this is not a consistent team in the back end of the game. If they're looking for scaling, that could be a more precarious position for them. Top Esports is going to be pretty happy in the mid game.
Top Esports AL for the final time of the year in the regular season, and the Gyos are ready.
Oh.
Oof. Safe to say the Gyos had a direct effect for AL as theirs were ringing out. They get Zhuo to burn his flash early on a double tap from Kael, and Tarzan wants to take that win and push it even further, locking Tian out of his jungle. Lanes don't matter, folks. We're flipping for jungle camps as JackeyLove already has to burn his barrier early. Hope's starting to stack this lethal tempo with the Ashlows, really starting to zone JackeyLove and Zhuo out. Tian has to roll over, but Hope's HP bar is the lowest. He flashes away as Kael eats the Sonic Wave. Creme now over, trying to throw some damage onto Tarzan as the flashes start spilling out all over the place. JackeyLove and Kael flash at virtually the same point. And it's JackeyLove with a blinking health bar out, a double tap snare. Make sure a ghost-led Creme can't chase anyone from AL down. Minions don't matter. No one started their camps. And good luck to Kman to figure out how the hell we're going to play the rest of this early game out.
I can't believe no one died. I mean, every summoner spell has been used. I don't think there is a single sum bot lane, so you better bet your bottom dollar that those junglers are going to be pathing down to the bottom side of the map. But ultimately, I think that is good for both of these teams in some way, shape, or form. I guess it depends on who gets that gank off on the bottom side. I think it's important to note that a ward was placed in Tribush by AL. I think that will protect them quite a bit, but crazy start to the game, and I think AL were smart to go for that play. This is the part of the game they need to try and take advantage of if they don't want to be a little behind, and Tarzan's not even done yet.
He's hunting for more. He still has his flash. Level 2. Gonna see the blue buff is being done by Tian, who has to come off of it. Didn't get low enough to smite. Now Tarzan gets to steal it away virtually for free. Tian now much slower and hurting on his clear as Tarzan begins to take over.
That is huge. Setting Lee Sin behind it all is a massive problem. I will say, AL's bot lane is still level 1 down here on the bot side. It's going to be a bit of a problem for them. This Lucian Milio is a huge counter to Ashe Seraphine. It was the prominent counter pick in lane. I was shocked that they left it up. They're probably going to be able to generate a pretty big advantage, but Lee Sin being behind might not be able to take advantage of that bot lane pressure nearly as much as they might have wanted to.
Hope for now doing a very good job making sure to collect. Okay, well, I jinxed him. He collected a lot of those minions and then proceeded to miss a couple casters, but not taking too much harass under there. Did see Creme get a decent chunk there into Shanks, but he has those health pots, and Creme starting running out of mana pretty quickly, but Tian wants to look for this. Heroic punch away, but the Root Prison lands first. Shanks have to commit that flash. Tian does not find the Sonic Wave, and that means Shanks lives, and Tarzan goes back in with a flash flag and drag to cook Tian. Well done style. First blood over to Shanks.
The play is a good idea. If you can flip 1 for 1 while picking up first blood, then all of a sudden that stolen blue buff can work out, but missing that Q is so big because you don't have the damage on the Galio. Tarzan getting that kill onto Shanks is really important for macro rotations. Remember, both of these mid laners have the ability to open up the map at level 6, and now Shanks and Tarzan not only are going to have the benefit of Tarzan being ahead, this Galio is also going to be even harder to kill. That is disastrous for top esports.
And it hurts even more, Kman, when you think about the fact Shanks rolls the teleport. Well, Creme is rocking the ghost, but top lane, Breathe, getting into it with Zuian, who gets the lethal tempo stacked, and one more auto with that W passive gets him the solo bolo as he hunts for a first-team All-Pro selection.
Breathe got counter pick, and he's also getting absolutely destroyed in the 1v1 on the top side here. Zuian has been a menace. We highlighted him for a reason in the pre-show. This guy has been the best top laner in the LPL so far this split. Breathe has been the one player contesting him, I think, for that All-Pro spot. Zuian making a statement as Tian just gets his entire health bar chunked out by Shanks in this mid lane duel, but is going to be able to, at the very least, take away the red buff.
Does get the red buff, doesn't get those raptors, was looking for the Krugs as we get a look back at this first blood, and I'll take it for you here, Kman. You said it best. If that Sonic Wave hits, we live in a whole different game 1.
Oh yeah, if he gets first blood, everything is fine. Even if you trade 1-for-1, which you will in that play, it's still very positive for the Lee Sin, who can get back out on the map and really create some havoc, and it puts Creme in a better spot moving forward. None of that happened. 500 gold up now on the Galio, and that's only going to get worse, I think, as this mid game goes along, because Tarzan can keep putting pressure down, and now we get a potential gank on the bot side.
Flash is back up here for Zhuo, but not JackeyLove. Snare lands there from Kael. And here shows Tarzan. Heal comes down first, dash out of JackeyLove. And Zhuo does not even have to burn that flash because Hope took so much damage before that gank manifested. Tarzan taking this base in the brush. He's just sticking around to make sure that Hope can collect this massive wave safely as TES turn the temperature up in the bot side.
I mean, AL have to be really scared here in the 3v2. I still cannot believe that Lucian Milio was let through against this Ashe Seraphine, and we're seeing why. JackeyLove has been a menace this split, very much in consideration for being the best AD carry in the league from a performance perspective, and he is dominating this laning phase. If you want to talk about ways for top esports to stay in this game, Zuian and JackeyLove are both in very good spots, despite the fact that mid-jungle have not had a great early game.
With all that factored in, Kman, we've got a very fun game one ahead of us. The goal lead, virtually even, power points for each of these teams in different spaces. So where can we see these start to clash? Well, you can think about that first dragon. The Mountain Drake is up and for the taking for both sides. And we talked a little bit about during draft how vital getting this first Drake could be for AL's chances at a longer game.
If AL can somehow set up around this dragon, that is massive. Of course, bot lane pressure matters a ton. That's why I think this Lucian is going to be so scary. Tarzan has to be very careful because while he does have a lead right now, a 300 gold lead because of the assist, that can all go away if he takes one errant 3v3 that doesn't necessarily end up working out. So this dragon could matter a ton, but ultimately, if that bot lane pressure keeps up, top esports should have pressure on the bottom side of the map, and I imagine AL might be a little bit more comfortable trading for something like Grubs on the top side in 1 minute.
Do have Tian making his way towards the bot side with none of his bot camps up, so it does seem like they're setting up for Tian to just hop on this dragon with that bot lane pressure, and as you aptly pointed out, don't know if Tarzan's really going to be here to try and contest. There is a Scuttle Crab respawn, and this should give one of these junglers level 6. That could be a huge swing, but Tarzan with very low vision and no eyes on the JackeyLove-led bottom lane, gonna surrender that crab, surrender level 6, and maybe most importantly, surrender the first Drake of the game.
Yeah, just as I was outlining, this is a very scary spot for Tarzan. If he goes in here and loses the fight, the entire early game is completely thrown away. There's just no reason to contest it. In my opinion, play around these grubs on the top side, trade these objectives. You're going to get stronger as we get further and further along. Creme is stepping up, but Tarzan has to be careful here.
And Tian did not get level 6 off that crab because he lost out to a camp. Tarzan takes a huge chunk, but it's a double taunt down from Shanks. Ghost going to be popped in response from Creme. He starts throwing a flurry of combos down, but Shanks is able to absorb them for now because the Rise has 2 ruby crystals in his inventory and nothing else.
I mean, it's still a lot of damage onto the mid laner. If a 3v3 or a 4v4 breaks out over any of these objectives, you have a huge health advantage. JackeyLove with the culling as well. Hope is to pop barrier.
Barrier, and he's going to lose any priority he might have had for that wave. And topside, Tarzan still hunting. Root Prism going to come down on a breathe and moves over first with the Flag Drag on Tian into the heroic entrance. Flash from Tian. Cataclysm comes the same. Dragon's Rage kick doesn't matter. Shanks flashes on Tian's head, finds the first kill. Realm Warp comes out. Zuian really wants to go mega here to try and make some difference, but the Gnar bar just isn't there. And AL are able to escape with the kill onto Tian.
I don't know what Creme was doing in that exchange. He completely abandoned his Lee Sin to walk up and try and poke out the top laner rather than trying to play the fight around Lee Sin. It's just a big mistake. Tian, obviously not exactly in the right place with the health bar that he had, but ultimately I think a 2v2 actually could have been in their favor with the fact that Galio doesn't have a ton of trading power right now, and because of that disconnect, you give it another free kill over to the Galio, and he's going to get even more into this game. The more MR he builds, the harder this is going to get. Arrow.
Mark found from Hope, stun for an era onto Creme, but he flashes the heroic, or the justice punch there from Shanks to survive. Nice look though from Hope.
Yeah, great look from Hope. Shanks, again, just doesn't have the damage. I keep talking about this Galio not really being all that strong yet, and I think we got, unfortunately, a good example of that. That will not be the case for much longer. Tier 2 boots completed for Shanks as he opens up the map, but those are some cooldowns, at the very least, used for these fights. And guess what's still on the map? Every objective. Grubs are going to be started here by top esports. Dragon is still on the map as well. And so nothing has really been settled, and the gold lead is almost entirely even.
Hope still finding ways to provide some semblance of value despite falling so far behind. That hawk shot stunted Tian from taking these grubs. He does end up securing the second one, but don't know if he'll be able to get the third here. It is a flag and drag out from Tarzan, and with Zuian having all that top lane pressure, they do end up actually securing all three of these grubs. So a Rise and Gnar-led side lane just got a lot scarier for AL to face.
Yeah, I will say, this is the part of the game where Top Esports comes online. You're hitting your level 6s in a lot of key areas. Everybody is level 6 at this point. And Lee Sin plus Rise is a death combo anywhere, despite the fact that Lee Sin is 0 and 2, right? Once he hits that first item power spike, he's going to be able to fight anybody. And so this is the part of the game you cannot throw away for AL. And this is where things, I think, get very tricky in terms of the plays they're looking for. Dragon still on the map, but their bot lane is never going to have tempo or priority. Lucian, as long as he has his summoners available, will win every single exchange on the bottom side of the map. And so for now, I imagine Top Esports is going to be able to control when this objective is started.
Definitely helps if you get some serious culling damage down to Hope, who does a bit better of a job this time dodging out on those light slinging shots. The one caveat that could be a saving grace for AL's bottom lane early was that JackeyLove could run out of mana pretty quickly on the Lucian, but that Essence Reaver should be completed shortly for TES's AD carry. We'll see if that can start to make a difference. One way to alleviate pressure, though, is, of course, to bring your jungler over, as Tarzan once again will look to reset, hovering this bot side just so he can get Hope and Kael some space to push the wave a little bit away from their turret.
Yeah, you have to spend resources right now on the bot side in order to keep things even. Look at the control ward vision in the bottom river. They are clearly trying to set up for the fact that, you know, Tian could be in the area, trying to go for the dragon. If they can get the back off and get that first item on the JackeyLove, that's huge. I don't think that's going to happen before the first fight, so you have to make sure you manage your resources correctly here. Tian is in the area, so is Tarzan.
But look at JackeyLove's mana. He's not going to have a lot of combos to throw out if a fight breaks out at this point. And with that vision coverage, Tarzan will start up on the dragon. There is a ward in the back of the pit, so Top Esports have complete knowledge this is going on. And they do have Zuian with TP advantage, but he just came out of Mega, so it's a little bit harder to justify moving him off this lane that he is still completely in control of. And it's going to help that the public execution from Breathe was just a bit too short.
Yeah, pretty lucky for that one to go wide. I gotta be honest though, I understand that you utilized a lot of your resources to try and push the wave. You do have that Essence Reaver for JackeyLove, and you feel like, well, we might not want to throw the game for this first dragon. I don't really like the call of giving over so much pressure in the early game. Again, this is the power spike for Top Esports. AL are going to have the more consistent team fighting comp, even if I don't think they as players have been so strong as a team fighting team. And so if you're going to be taking fights, it should be around this time, especially with Creme having some priority in the mid lane, being able to chunk out the Galio. You know, I think giving over that dragon is definitely a huge favor for AL.
Because it can, at the very least, prolong the game. Prolong a soul take for Top Esports. And you like your odds as the Ashe Seraphine team, the Ambessa team, the later a game goes. But not if your Ambessa's getting manhandled to the top side by Zuian. Full combo on to Breathe, but the bot side's where the fight is taking place. Tarzan go after JackeyLove, gets the dunk down, and sets up the heroic entrance from Shanks that gets rid of JackeyLove. Kick back onto 2 from Tian, but Hope is still healthy enough to chase. It's a Realm Warp from Creme, a TP from Zuian. The soul lanes are showing up here. AL need to commit to some of these kills. It's the flash, knock up onto Tian, but a flash cozy campfire combo from Zwo, gonna keep Tian topped off. Hope gonna flash into the alcove as all of AL are bunched up together. Zuian will jump in to trade 1, and the Root Prism will make it 2 as the solo lanes bail out TES.
They do get bailed out, but that is a fight that they should have won. Once again, they're just slow on the draw in terms of collapsing. It turns into a 2 for 2, which I think you're happy to see. Ultimately, Galio makes his way to the fight way before we get a Realm Warp from Creme, and that means that a 4v3 is almost always going to go in favor of AL. I think they're going to be lucky to pull a 2v2 out of that circumstance. Gold is still even, but we're going to get a replay here. JackeyLove gets pounced upon. This is a really good engage from Tarzan, just understanding that this Lucian is basically the entire form of damage right now for TES with Tian being behind. But look, Shanks is here, and Creme hasn't even started channeling. He's killing a ward in the mid lane as this entire fight is happening, and so he just shows up no mana very late. They are able to turn this because it's an overextension from AL. Zwo does a good job to clear some CC from Tian to let him live longer, but ultimately, this could have been an even better fight for Top Esports if they had just understood their positioning a bit more. And I think they're going to be lucky with a 2 for 2 more than anything else.
Yeah, note to take going forward for Top Esports. Should never be a scenario where JackeyLove and Zwo have to walk opposite directions. That was definitely painful. Gotta think you called it out, how much healing and CC reduce that Breath of Life from Zhuo was onto Tian. Imagine if that was onto JackeyLove. Could be a much different fight. We'll see if they can play into their very strong AD carry more as this game moves into the mid game, but do want to give some credit over to Hope, who has been able to survive a rough lane and end up even in gold. He definitely doesn't have the power on one item like the Lucian does, as you were mentioning, Kman, but to be even after that start, definitely deserves some credit.
Definitely important. He has to be even for this game to be as easy as it's supposed to be for the comp that AL drafted, and he's done a very good job to stay alive in this lane. I mean, Ashe is going to be more useful in the back end of this game just purely off of the CC alone. Any sort of damage that Hope is able to do is kind of a bonus, and they're going to need it because they are a bit of a low damage comp. Tian alone here is going to get some vision onto Tarzan.
One knock up. Tarzan not going to commit the dunk down of the Cataclysm. Just pushing Tian away from this top side. Such a tough spot for AL, but the Ashe Arrow going to force a trade of Breath of Life. So Tian once again the target. Tarzan really wants to get control onto one of these rivers, but it's so tough to do it top side with Zuian running away with his matchup. Nonetheless, he will start the Rift Herald.
That is the thing. Zuian is going to make his way down. I don't think he's actually going to be able to take this. That Gnar is a big problem, and that is the win condition for Top Esports. He's level 13 to Tarzan's level 9. Tarzan's kind of dancing around the area because they have a mid laner on the top side of the map, but Zuian is very dangerous here. Tarzan has to be a little bit careful of the way that this could go if the bot lane collapses. Is just going to smite away the Herald and get his way out of there. So free objective for AL, and they're going to trade it for a bot lane tier 1, but overall I think they're very happy with this game state.
Power of the Grubs, though, gonna secure a big chunk of gold change. That first turret pickup swings the gold lead over 1,000 in favor of Top Esports, who do still hold a bit more power at this point in the game off of those first items. You mentioned it, Zuian leading the charge there with that Triforce. Essence Reaver gonna likely go for the Flicker Blades combo for JackeyLove. They'll give him a lot more power. And when we talk about Hope, you mentioned how damage is a bonus. You know, the thing to look out for with Hope is, of course, once he can get that IE, that third item, that's when this matchup can really flip. But the point being here, that is still a long ways away. Let's see how much Top Esports can do in that time as they look to potentially overload onto Breathe.
Oh, they're diving.
Look to take the turret, or maybe just dive first. First stun, second stun, layered beautifully by Zuian into the Rune Prism.
God.
Oh my lord, Breathe didn't even have a chance in the world. Beautiful synergy from the TES soul lanes for one kill, and JackeyLove was able to sidestep an arrow from Hope in the mid lane to add an extra cherry on top.
That play is huge, not just because it gets Zuian a 2,000 gold lead, because this guy is incredibly far ahead. He's looking very dangerous as we get some dancing around. 3v3 in the mid lane here, but because Creme now gets so much gold on the top side, not only from taking the tower, but from getting these plates and getting the wave as well. Getting this rise into the game makes things so much easier for Top Esports. They've taken a game state that was kind of bad for them and turned it into a 2.5k gold lead. I will say, pretty much all of that is on the Gnar. And so if you're saying that, oh, they have a 2.5k gold lead, this game's out of control, AL still have ways to play, and that's mostly going to be around this dragon that has spawned on the map.
But it is a hard sell for them to walk into that river currently. Breathe still has to push out the bot wave, and Tarzan cannot go for a ward clearing mission on his own. Hope trying to trade some with JackeyLove and Kael, but it's JackeyLove that's coming out on top time and time again. Nice kickball from Zhuo for some extra damage, and Hope is down to maybe 15% HP. He's virtually out of this Drake fight. It's hard to even warrant AL trying to walk in here, and they simply can't.
Yeah, you can't fight this. This is what should have been happening 5 minutes ago, by the way, is playing around JackeyLove's ability to trade really aggressively in the 2v2. If you can set up around these objectives properly, you're not going to be contested really at all. They're going to try to make a play on Zuian, but Tian is here, and this Gnar is strong. You do not want to overextend, and Top Esports, I think, it maybe took them 18 minutes, but I think they realized how to play their comp.
And it really does help. We talked about how the Grubs could influence the side laning, but something we didn't get to touch too much on was the fact that Top Esports, this comp is just so much better designed for those side lanes, especially how much time Creme has been getting, for sure. He has been the biggest benefactor of the side lane timing, getting more stacks on that Roa, getting over to the Seraphs that's already completed. Now we're at that point where Rise is just looking to stack damage to carry some fights.
Yeah, JackeyLove has to be really careful here. Him getting picked off would be the biggest problem, but ultimately he's going to be fine. That level 11 is very, very close. He is about a half a level up onto Ashe. That could be a big playmaking opportunity for TES. And we will see if they want to go for it. A lot of dancing in the mid lane here.
There's a dash back. JackeyLove respecting some of that space that Kael and Hope can create, but Got a cozy campfire next to him to make him feel safe, and you can see the top esports are just trying to play attention grab in the mid lane because Zuian and Creme just continue to cruise through these side lanes, constantly pressuring AL's part of the map.
I mean, that's the thing. They're losing in every single lane, and that's the biggest problem with AL's draft.
Good
They had
dash.
to try to make a play. Arrow is going to go wide. That's basically every playmaking opportunity on the board for them. But there is no objective for top esports to capitalize on. So for now, it's probably just going to be more side lane pressure, more Gnar and Rise being able to continuously push out these waves, and more JackeyLove Lucian pushing in and getting more plates in the mid lane as well. This champion's only going to get stronger. This is becoming a pretty precarious game state for AL if they can't capitalize on something soon.
They definitely need to slow down the gold generation top esports has been able to get these last couple minutes. Kind of loving these looks from Creme to kind of just sit next to Zuian and see if they can once again pick off the Ambessa on their lonesome. Zuian going to stack into that Mega, and Breathe may be feeling deja vu if he is not careful. Oh my god, it's worse than deja vu, folks. There are now three people that are trying to go after him in this side lane. Creme is going to show. It's not a big enough wave for Breathe to really be under too much threat, but it does pull Tarzan over here to try and play Protect.
Yeah, he is going to protect his top laner, but ultimately, Tarzan's sitting here, protecting his Ambessa, watching his tier 2 bot lane get sieged down and just lose it. This guy is the Herald. I mean, he's just sitting here doing nothing, and this tower is going down for free. This is the exact kind of pressure that top esports can create with this comp. I called it a pretty big draft gap in draft for top esports, and I think they're showing that right now. Got to keep an eye on JackeyLove, though. His positioning mattres a ton here.
Elmore, they're going after Hope. First dash from JackeyLove, maybe too far. He's gonna get dunked down. Charmed is the breath of life to bail him out, but it takes him out of the fight completely. It's a Coling as a fadeaway tactic that's keeping JackeyLove in the damage compartment. Shanks flashes, Creme follows, gets away from a taunt, but the engage on a Tian lands. Breathe doesn't hit the perfect execution though, and Zuian's able to dash away from Tarzan. Low health bars galore, but JackeyLove without sums, and that means the Creme is gonna get stuck. Breathe immediately flashed after JackeyLove into the turn, and just like that, AL assassinate the top esports damage dealers.
Anyone's Legend just outplay top esports. They're able to do so much damage to JackeyLove. The one thing that I've been talking about that cannot happen for top esports is JackeyLove getting caught out first in a team fight, and that's exactly what happens. He gets his entire health bar chunked. He has to blow everything in order to survive, and at that point, any sort of turn is going to be very impossible, especially if Zuian is not in a good position. We're going to get a replay of exactly what happened here. JackeyLove just steps up way too far. He wants to contest this wave. He dashes forward, but ultimately, this is a huge mistake. The damage comes down way too early. Yes, he's able to survive, but everything is gone. JackeyLove no longer has flash, and he no longer has ultimate as the culling is down. He has no health bar. There's no way for you to be able to take this fight because everything is around this Lucian. And so when you get this like split layered fight with Zuian on the back end, your gold is now not being utilized because all of it's on Gnar, and your main damage dealer is chunked out. Creme just has to go for a miracle play because he's under tower. He doesn't get it. This is a perfect fight for AL, and top esports just took a great game state and threw it away.
You know, great point out on the JackeyLove positioning. I just think both of the damage dealers had screw-ups. I think, you know, you say Creme's trying to make the hero play, but I don't think you could ever stand there if you just burned your flash 5 seconds ago in front of a Galio. So mistakes in positioning, plaguing top esports. It's giving AL one hell of a lifeline. Is Zuian unfazed by the Ash Arrow that goes right by his face, but he's still got 3 enemies in his sights. Flag and drag knockup gonna land first. He's gonna double hop to get away from a taunt, but the dashes are starting to stack. Zuian needs to go Mega. It's a well-timed flash. Goes Mega to throw Tarzan into his own turret for 1 stun. Not gonna be enough to find the outplay, but he at least survives, and the real outplay's on the cross map.
Yeah, that's a really good play for TES. It gets more gold into the pocket of JackeyLove to get him caught back up with Hope, who got a lot of gold from that previous play, and it gets priority onto the Dragon here. That's a free objective, and you wanted to kill Gnar for that. You wanted to get the shutdown. It's a 400 gold shutdown. Not being able to get it and burning resources, that's a big win for top esports to at least get some momentum back in this game.
And they're able to use that to secure the first Infernal Soul-led Drake of the game. And they're looking now to push it into this mid-tier 1 turret that's very low. Dunk down, gonna land on top of Creme. Gets cleansed out of the charm, but the cleanse won't save him from the Cataclysm. Getting chased down as Hope just walks JackeyLove through. Finds that first kill. Zuian TP's in for 1. Dragon's Rage kick onto 2. Tarzan thrown into the waiting arms of Zuian. Gonna flag and drag over the wall, but Zuian is going Mega. Shanks is gonna taunt to try and stall him. Goes back in with the Justice Punch of Dreams, but he gets Gnar ulted back into top esports' hands and goes down. Both of our mid laners in this series with some questionable deaths in the mid lane.
Slayer, we're getting a bit of a banger in game number 1. This has been an awesome back and forth game, and it's full of mistakes, and that's what makes this so fun. The Gnar arriving turns everything around. Zuian is still absolutely massive on the top side of this fight. A ton of mistakes made by both mid laners, but ultimately it's still a 1.5k gold lead for top esports, and they started stacking these dragons. We're getting a replay of how this started. At first, this looks terrible because Creme and JackeyLove are once again completely disconnected. They're just not on the same page. They're not prioritizing the correct targets. Creme goes down pretty early, and JackeyLove is just getting poked through by the Ashe with really nothing Zhuo can do. But once Zuian arrives, Tian does have some damage, and these two can cause a lot of problems. Tarzan surviving here is massive for keeping this fight even remotely even for AL, but ultimately, as long as Zuian can arrive to these exchanges at any sort of reasonable time, top esports are going to have the ability to, win some fights. I don't know what Shanks was doing there, man. That's certainly a questionable decision, but ultimately it ends up in a 2-for-2.
I'm just watching Breathe, and I wonder if Shanks thinking, press R, and he's like, brother, it's on cooldown. Because he was looking like he wanted to go in, but yeah, the disconnect was certainly there. We are going to land into a bit of a lull state as we're still 3 minutes out from our next dragon of the game, and Baron not really to be messed with just yet. So it's back to these side lane routines for top esports, and does give us a moment to talk a little bit about the different patch we're on. We did a little bit of that before we got into draft, but one mark that you could see that we're playing on 26-16, the power of Runan's Hurricane. Hope goes that item second. Good to see that adaptation, because this should be the norm going forward with Ashe.
Definitely. This champion really benefited a lot, I think, from the changes in a lot of ways. Not only mages getting nerfed, but of course the Runan's buffs as well. Ashe is expected to be a big power pick once again in the meta. I think another good mark is that we have 2 enchanters on the bottom side of the map. Teams feeling much more confident to go for some of these more, aggressive lanes in the 2v2. So far, it's been good for both sides. These 80 carries are both in good positions to be able to take over, despite JackeyLove being 0 and 3. He's 3 items, including a Black Cleaver on this Lucian, so definitely going to be an interesting late game to see if he can survive and pump out some damage.
But it is worth mentioning, while still talking about those 80 carries, Kman, the power dynamic has plateaued a bit for JackeyLove at this point. Hope completes that IE, so now the scale threat of this Ashe is very real. The damage that AL desperately needs out of this marksman is starting to really enter the fray.
Yeah, Hope has definitely eclipsed JackeyLove in terms of damage that is capable of being done, and this is a comp that is really good at going backwards. I did give AL a lot of props for picking teamfight. I didn't really like that because they're not really a team fighting team, and top esports had so much priority. They had 3 winning lanes, but ultimately in these 5v5 skirmishes, they're going to be better if top esports go for an errant engage. AL have plenty of disengage and peel tools available to them, and definitely a lot of damage now that the Ashe is online. Dragon spawning in a minute. Baron is on the map for now. Looks like it's just going to be vision control on the bottom side of the map here for top esports, and AL is going to seed that.
Start to get into that point of the game where we're going to see which of our teams want to do the Dragon Polka, and the other ones that want to do the Baron Waltz in their setups. But it's the mid lane that once again is getting all the attention. Is Zuian forcing the Ashe arrow out with the mere threat of a Gnar ultimate in mega form. So that's 1 key ultimate that's going to come off the board here for AL. Tarzan takes quite a hankering of damage there from Creme with a full combo. And the pressure still mounting, grubs and full waves pouring up against this tier 2 turret. When do AL feel like they need to pull the trigger?
It's got to be soon, or you gotta back off. Ultimately, JackeyLove did take quite a bit of poke, and so you do want to be careful. Jackie is very far forward. This guy's gonna give me a heart attack. I will say, as much as we're scared of the Lucian falling off, Creme has gotten very strong on the rise. If he's gonna continue to poke out, AL is gonna have a hard time being able to step up.
Does always hold innate value that you have a Galio to try and stand in front of those Creme combos, but you called it, the actualizer in the inventory for this rise. So as much as we really focus on the mid game of our opening match, it's now those 2 late game scalers that you really got to think about. Creme and Hope put in such huge positions, damage department wise, as the 4th Drake of the game hits the rift, and JackeyLove once again dashing forward. He's going to go for the Kael. It's a 2-man Gnar ultimate from Zuian, but the Encore is going to stall out JackeyLove and company and get all of the AL carries out, but they have to sacrifice their jungler. Tarzan going to drop, and that means TES are going to go into Infernal Soul Point, or maybe more.
Yeah, they don't want the Dragon, they want the Baron. They're moving to the top side of the map. Soul Point's good, but Baron is better, and Zuian is just an absolute menace in this game. Once again, a fantastic Gnar ultimate to get TES a pick, and AL have to try and engage here if they can save the Baron.
Still have Emilio Breath of Life for a hero engage. That Asher going to come out. There it is. Emilio on a JackeyLove. Breath of Life. Baron going to be secured. Hero's entrance, knocking any big knockups from Shanks, but he still goes forward, looking for a big taunt, but all he finds is Creme as JackeyLove flashes and dashes to kill off Hope to find one. And Shanks trapped in the TS backlane as JackeyLove gets to run amok onto the Pandas. Kills galore, all swinging in the way of TES. Kael, the only one able to limp away, but not for long. As Tian goes for the chase down, TES will walk down mid lane to take all of the AL base.
Tian may have struggled early game, but he finds the kick onto the AD carry of anyone's legend, and he seals the fate for Top Esports as they are going to start opening up the base. Tian might be getting targeted here by Tarzan, but Creme's in the area. They could try and turn this.
It's just a distraction, too. The rest of their team is looking to end the game. Sure, Tarzan kills off Tian, but Creme trades him right back out, and Top Esports are able to start off Week 5 with a bang, and it's their maybe MVP to set up the final kill. An ace for TES and a series lead. They go 1-0 up on anyone's legend.
Slayer, boy, am I sure glad we highlighted Zuian, because what a gnar game from him in game number 1. We were talking about these two kind of being the favorites for the first two all-pro teams on the top side. Zuian certainly making it seem like he has a good case for that. I loved Top Esports draft. I said that they had a massive advantage. They didn't utilize it perfectly in the early part of that game, but they got there eventually around 18 minutes, and once they got control of the game, they really never let go.
No, there was, a little bit of a stutter there from JackeyLove and Creme in one mid-game fight that we're going to see a bit later on. But yeah, outside of that, Kman, you called it with the draft gap. Draft gap's one way to say it. I think another way to understand it is Top Esports just had a lot more ease of execution in this scenario for their game plan. And, again, a little bit of sputters. I think you make those mistakes, maybe a BLG can punish it a bit better. AL would probably be the best team after that, I think, to be able to kind of swing a game like that. But TES, a very clean game plan. And most importantly, Kman, I know they beat EDG to finish off Week 4, but this is exactly how we wanted to see them start Week 5 after what was by far the worst week of their entire split last week.
Look, I'm going to make the joke. I'm going to bring up the facts. This team, in even-numbered weeks, terrible. They've not been good. Week 2 was their worst performance at the beginning of the split. Week 4 looked really bad for them. Weeks 1 and 3, they're taking down BLG. They're taking down AL. They look like one of the best teams in the league. It's just an odd-numbered week. We're in Week 5.
Yeah, okay. But I want to test your even odd number, okay?
Okay, sure.
Because there's two ways to think about it. So first week of playoffs, are we going to consider that like Week 6 of the season? Or are you saying it's Week 1 of playoffs? Because listen, it's interesting, right? Because if you're going 6, then Week 7, when they'd be in like the deep playoffs, they're gonna pop off. But if it's 2, maybe I'm maybe rooting your analogy. I'm sorry, Kate. I'm trying to play a fun numbers game.
I think you brought it to its natural conclusion. At this point, I just need someone to tell me what finals is, because that's all I really care about. What week is finals? Can we get there? How are we feeling about that? All I'm saying is that Top Esports undefeated so far this split in odd-numbered weeks. Let me check this. The only game loss they've had in an odd-numbered week was against Thunder Talk in week number 1. They're undefeated. They have 1 game loss in odd-numbered weeks, so that's all I'm saying. I will talk about the actual game now. Really good win for Top Esports. And you hit the nail on the head, Slayer, when it came to why I thought it was a draft gap. Not only is it ease of execution, but ultimately, you have 3 winning lanes, and they're all good in side lanes. When you have that much control over the way that side lanes go, that is more important to me than team fighting. It's all well and good to be a great 5v5 team going backwards, but you're already a little bit low damage, and you had no control over where the map was going. You're not going to be able to control the river. You're not going to be able to step up super consistently, and even your engage is entirely reliant on an Mbessa, potentially hitting ultimate. It's just a hard comp to play for AL. Top Esports had way more options. They definitely played better in the mid game, and even with the mistakes that they made, ultimately, they were strong enough to come out on top.
And that is the resonating statement there from Top Esports. Struggles do not define them in this game 1. We kind of already got to our usual final post-game conversation, Kman, but I do want to give a bit of a longer moment for you to give the flowers to Zuian. Folks, we will both be a bit of, I don't even want to say a bit upset. We will be upset if our rookie top laner from TES is not the player of the game in this one. It's that easy of a pick. It's that easy that a computer could make the pick.
I sure hope a computer could make that pick. Zuian was, just so dominant. Not only does he pick up the solo kill, which I think a lot of people are going to forget, but they're going to forget it because of just how good he was in the back end of the game. They're going to be like, oh yeah, he also got a solo kill. He also survived this, and this allowed them to get a dragon for free. Like, so many things in this game were created because of Zuian's pressure on the Gnar. Even getting Creme back in the game. Remember that 2v1 on the top side is really what got Rise all of his gold to make sure that he was in a better spot for these late game team fights, and Creme was pumping out damage and really mattered in some of these late fights as well. Pretty much everything in this game revolved around the Gnar, and you gotta give Zuian all the credit in the world. I have said it once, I'll say it 100 times. He's been the best top laner in the LPL this split, and I don't think there's even been a parallel. He completely gapped Breathe in game number 1, and that was a big difference maker here.
I'm sure resident LPL English superfan DBT is making a very similar argument maybe in the comments right now. I'm sure DBT will also be voting for Zuian First Team All-Pro. If you would like to give off your opinions for any of the All-Pro selections here at LPL English, once again, please join our Discord. It's fun for the All-Pro votes, but it's also an amazing place where I've seen so many, I don't know if I want to say wonderful, thought-provoking takes on the LPL, so we'd love to have you there to engage in those. Going to be Zuian likely with this MVP pickup. And now I guess, Kman, we can start trying to think about how do we want to see AL bounce back here? I'm envisioning Tarzan's going to say, give me the carry jungler, bro. I feel that's what we're heading towards for game 2.
I don't imagine Neferi is coming off the ban list. That would be my expectation. Maybe Kiana could be available, but ultimately the big problem they had is they had no way to play side lanes in this game. And when I think of AL and what they do best, this is the snowball team in the LPL. This is not a team that wants to play for late game team fights. They don't want to get down to Baron and have to play 5v5s. They're not good at that. They've thrown 10k gold leads trying to play that style. This is a team that wants to get leads early. They want to get Kael roaming. I understand we've moved to a meta that's a little bit more bot lane focused, but having a better bot lane 2v2 is going to matter, and getting something to stop this guy on the top side. Giving him Gnar and picking Mbessa as the counter pick, I'm sorry, you just can't disrespect the best top laner in the LPL like that.
Say it with your chest, Kman. The best top laner in the LPL, indeed. Let's see if he earned himself a potential unanimous vote. I would be curious. We did just come off a series where Sheer nearly grabbed himself a unanimous MVP, 7 out of 8, and as good as a game as it was from Sheer, there's levels, and Zuian kicked it up a gear. I think this should be unanimous MVP for our rookie.
I agree. I think Zuian was by far, 8 out of 8. And no one else on the team deserved this. JackeyLove was crazy far ahead, but it was entirely the lane matchup. I still cannot believe they let Lucian Milio through Slayer. Like, I think that was such a huge mistake. And even with JackeyLove being ahead, he still made a ton of mistakes. Zuian was the best player on the Rift, and he absolutely carried top esports here.
What a resounding statement from Zuian. 8 out of 8. Perfect player of the game performance for him. But now we have to start setting the stage here for game number 2. An even number, which may scare top esports a bit, but it is AL that are against the odds in this one. Gonna have to come back, find a game 2 win to kick our series 2-3. A series that could lock in a playoff bye for one of our 2 teams by the time this final week is over. We'll see you guys on the other side.